irreversibly.
512-879-3805. I'll take your calls here. 512-879-3805. We're live with David Icke. You can ask him anything. You're running out of time, so get in. But first, let's start with my emails, because I have a bunch of people emailing me, jackblood@hotmail.com. They want to ask you questions as well. The first question, which I've gotten repeatedly, knowing that we were going to have you on, is what was behind the bombing of the moon thing? Your take on that?
Well, I've got. I don't want to answer that now. I'll tell you for why. I have, in the last few months, I'm writing a new book at the moment. I'm really 3/4 or so into it, and I have got extraordinary revelations. I guess I'm in such a purple patch, a streak of information coming my way, and the reason I want to hold on to it for a while is there's 2 or 3 dots I want to connect so I can bring it out as one unit. And when I do, what that question is will take on a whole new light.
Have you seen Arsenal of Hypocrisy by Bruce Gagnon, who's been on our show? It talks about the space wars and how the countries are going to be fighting in space, and obviously you take this to a whole, no pun intended, another dimension. But it really, and of course we know there are really valuable minerals on the moon, much like there is in Africa. It seems like the countries are warring against each other to get at those, and maybe this is the first salvo. I mean, am I on the right track, or is it something completely deeper than that?
Well, it's massive, and will explain so much. And as soon as I've connected the 2 or 3 dots I need to, I'll bring it out as one unit. It really will take this whole story on in a massive leap.
512-879-3805, live with David Icke today. Another email question, Lisbon Treaty. We saw what happened in Ireland. I think that surprised some of us who weren't anticipating kind of how that was going to turn out. It was the final referendum on the Lisbon Treaty. But the last holdout is the president of Czechoslovakia, who's not for cap and trade, who doesn't believe in global warming, who's been very outspoken. They're talking about getting rid of him in order to ratify this big EU expanding treaty. Your take on that?
Oh yeah, they are now seeking. It's been in the media to, as they say, fast track the signing by Czechoslovakia. What we've seen in Europe is what, of course, is unfolding just below the surface now. In fact, breaking the surface, if you know what you're looking for, in North America, because they want a North American version of the European Union. And, it's you've only got to look at the quotes from people that have come to light who founded the European Union to see that actually it was planned to be what it is now right from the start. It's that technique that I call the totalitarian tiptoe, where you know where you're going, which is the centralized control of Europe with a bureaucratic leadership, not even an elected one. But you know after the Second World War that if you announced that's what you were going to do after people had lost millions of lives, stopping that very centralization of control of Europe, then people would not have had it. So you start with a free trade zone like NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, and then you get more and more centralization of power. I've got a quote here from Jean Monnet, founding father of the European Union and a Rothschild frontman, by the way. He wrote a letter to a friend in 1952, the year I was born, and he said this: Europe's nations should be guided towards the superstate without their people understanding what is happening. This can be accomplished by successive steps, each disguised as having an economic purpose, but will eventually and irreversibly lead to federation. And that's what's happening in North America. And we have the kind of staggeringly depressing prospect, at the moment anyway, of having Tony Blair, a war criminal, who could lie for the world, being the first president of Europe, which is what this Lisbon Treaty now brings in. A president of Europe, a European foreign minister to represent the whole of Europe in foreign affairs. They want a European army, and as a result of this, they're going to fuse the databases they have on people in every country into a massive European database, which they then plan to exchange with North America to create a global database. So much comes out of this Lisbon Treaty because the that are voting for it haven't even read it. You know, they don't read it. They just vote on it, most of them. And there's some real big stuff in there which they can now play out. And people are going to be saying, even people who voted for it, what's happening? I didn't vote for that. And they go, yes, there we go. You know, Clause 7, Part 4, there it is. And, of course, that's how they do it in America and everywhere. These people don't know what they're voting for.
You know, David, we're getting so many emails. They're such good questions. I'm going to go to the calls here. We're almost out of time, 512-879-3805. But these guys were first. They were in here for an hour, so I've got to ask these questions. Before I do, I want to remind my listeners, the EEC, our NAFTA, has celebrated their 50th anniversary here a year or so ago. They didn't tell anyone that they were the European Union until 1987. I just want to remind my listeners that, you know, this stuff kind of creeps up on you. Another email question, David, easy one. Nobel Peace Prize for Cousin Barry.
Well, you know, you look at the Nobel situation. I mean, to sum it up, I mean, Alfred Nobel made his fortune out of selling armaments and inventing dynamite. People like Henry Kissinger, who's wanted for war crimes in a number of countries, won it. Al Gore won it right at the time they were really trying to sell global warming for telling lies. And now they want to sell Obama, because Obama's a real big area of this. He's been brought through to be the used car salesman, to sell this system and to sell this control system as freedom and coming together and the world uniting as one, and all this Orwellian language that they use. What we've seen in America and what we're seeing unfolding is a problem-reaction solution, presidential style. They brought Bush in to front up, that's all he did, front up the creation of a serious problems, extending America's military abroad in so many ways, and at the end of his presidency, the economic crash. And now that's the problem. Then you have the reaction from the people. Fear, outrage, we don't like the way the country's going. What can we do? And then big smiling, extended smile, read the teleprompter, Obama comes forward to sell the solutions to the problems. And these will be the control system coming in and what have you. And the key thing about Obama for people to realize is that there are two Rothschild agents in the White House standing at each ear. There's Rahm Emanuel, whose father was in Irgun, the terrorist organization that helped to bomb Israel into existence. And you have...
We'll pick up, David, when we come back for a final short segment. We'll wrap up the show with David Icke right after this. AmericanFreedomRadio.com. I'm Jack Blood. This is Deadline Live.